Well, I suppose it started back in 1948 because that's when my mother left the farm at Carew, and she was determined to find something more worthwhile in life that was not offered by religions or politics or anything at all. She knew that there had to be something better, and she was determined to find it. But she never really found it there. It wasn't until Fred Robinson came on the scene in 1961 that she found that they had the same thing in common. He was a type of prophet sort of bloke, and talked about things to happen in the future, and talked about creating communities where the lifestyle could be controlled. So Mum and Fred became a team, and they decided to sell the place in Carlisle where Mum was, and she bought a place in Armidale up in the hills. They called it Shalem. It had a big house with a big meeting hall, and they called this Shalem New Age Information Centre. And it became a focal point for many people in the city to come and listen to speakers and be involved in discussions. And I think every Sunday there was meetings there, and they talked about things like flying saucers.
Here is the central created universe. It is a spiritual universe, and these are the outer...
It is this man who has been both a saviour to the unsettled and searching young people and a villain to anguished parents. Fred Robinson, looking something like a 20th century Methuselah, founded the Universal Brotherhood several years ago. For the past 40 years he's been spreading his own kind of gospel with a back-to-nature philosophy. Now aged 85, Fred still plays a major role in the running of the commune. Most of his day is taken up teaching children about the universe, about God, and about Armageddon.
Fred was a sugarcane farmer in Brisbane, Queensland. He went broke, probably in the Depression, I suppose, and he blames the government, which was probably fair enough. What he told me was that he met with a woman called Ione. He did say at one stage that she was not an Earth person, she was an alien, and she taught him a lot of things about the future, what the future holds for the planet, and what we must do to protect our planet. And she said that he must take the message to mankind and alert mankind to the dangers of what this world faces and of what may happen in the future. And she showed him the charts, gave him a set of charts, and told him that he would be guided to meet up with someone who thought like him, and together they would form a group. Now, that I presume was when he came to West Australia. He didn't have any place in mind, but one day, as he said to me, he said, I thought, well, maybe I'll go to West Australia.
Karanya's not all work. Here in the hot, dry sheep country, 170 miles north of Perth, the swimming pool becomes almost a necessity in summer. Team sports like volleyball are also a daily event. The participants aren't exactly what could be described as clean-cut lads and lasses, but if anything could be further from the popular conception of a hippie commune, this is it. As well as the disciplines of religion, work and sport, the Karanya Brotherhood are vegetarians and shun tobacco and alcohol.
Fred was wonderful. I used to call Fred the prophet. He was a real visionary. He could inspire anyone. They'd come in off the street and he'd sit there and he'd tell you about his spiritual journey, his experiences, and of course his strong connection with the notion of beings from other planets and other worlds who were assisting in the process of human evolution. I was always moved by Fred because I was moved by the story of a very conservative sort of British farmer who the Depression made him rethink his whole existence. and step right out of the whole materialistic worldview and actually start to ask deeper questions about the purpose of life, why we're here, what's going on.
Well, why do so many people shun the natural environment?
For the simple reason you've been conditioned for ages to accept a man-made polluted civilization.
And yet there are people who come here and stay in the community, and also people who go who don't like it. Why is that?
Well, this is a pioneering job. Now, you'll never get pioneers to be the majority of the community. Once the pioneering has been done, then the others come in on it. There's always got to be the pioneer. And they're very, very scarce. Only a very small percentage of the population are born pioneers.
But haven't there been communities like this one for many years?
There's never been a community in the past exactly like this. In a sense, where principles are concerned, yes, the Essene Brotherhood, all the real genuine brotherhoods of the past, I don't mean those that got perverted, but there's always been the real genuine teachers on this planet, ever since what we call the Lucifer Rebellion.
Fred's inspired the hundreds of young people to look more deeply into themselves and the purpose of their life and what they were doing here. So I think he gave a legacy to hundreds of young people, not just who came to the Brotherhood, I might add, but to all over the country where he toured. And he was a pioneer in many ways. I mean, he was into reincarnation, he was into space brothers, he was into vegetarianism, and these were all just new words. But, I mean, that's the sort of pioneer energy that creates the world today, where vegetarianism is sort of passé. The notion of extraterrestrial contact is fairly common among many people. There's no longer the sense that we are the only living beings in the world, universe, I should say. So I think he sowed the seeds that today are quite strong and flourishing trees.